Welcome back to Tuesdays, where we check out the vendors. There are 3 that change their wares on Tuesday mornings. We're going to start with the Telvar Merchant in Imperial City Sewers, and we have a super strong start today. We have treasure maps from Solstice. Now, normally I don't get excited about treasure maps, but there are a couple that get me excited, and Solstice is one. Not only does Solstice bring us gear such as Death Dancer, Full Belly Barricade, 3 Queens Wellspring, and Zanmir Genesis, but also there are 13 furnishing leads that you can only get from treasure maps from Solstice. And if you want codex so that you can then buy them for gold, you need to get each one 3 times. And with a drop rate of about 1 per 6 maps, that's a whole lot of maps. So at 6,000 Telvar, this one might be worth it. All right, our leads this week, we have Snowy Saber Cat Fur Strip. This one is part of Snow Treaders, and this one drops from the final boss in Dire Frost Keep, the dungeon. Next up, we have Tonal Pivot Joints. This is one of 5 pieces of Esoteric Environment Greaves, and this one drops from either of the group event bosses in Vardenfell Public Dungeon. So either one, the group event, could drop it. For jewelry this week, we have Necklace and Ring of Endurance. Of course, that comes in Healthy, Robust, and Arcane in both. And then Necklace and Ring of the Valiant. Our scripts this week, we have Bound Affix Script Empower, adds Empower, a buff increasing heavy attack damage. Bound Focus Script Pull, adds a pull. And Bound Signature Script War Mage's Defense, adds a damage shield. And finally, we have Snipe Vibrant Yellow. This one you can get from Madge Alragath for 20 Undaunted keys, or here in the sewers this week for 65,000 Telvar, so you have options. All right, let's head over to the Scholarium and see what scripts he has for us this week. We've made our way to the Scholarium.
My accommodation.
First up, we have Bound Affix Script Berserk, adds Berserk, a buff increasing damage done. Bound Affix Script Mangle adds Mangle, a debuff reducing max health. Bound Focus Script Frost Damage, which of course adds frost damage. And Bound Signature Script Anchorite's Cruelty adds a Consume Soul Gem to deal Oblivion damage effect. Time to head over to Infinite Archive. Let's see what Filer Ul has for us.
Don't complain to me if you want.
Alright, first up we have Kynarthi's treasure maps. Not nearly as exciting as the Solstice treasure maps, but Kynarthi brings us, of course, Armor of the Trainee, as well as the chance to get leads for the Ancestral High Elf axes, belts, helmets, and staves motifs. Next up, we have the Infernal Guardian Mask. Infernal Guardian drops in City of Ash 1. It is an interesting mask. I do pretty much always, almost always, recommend getting the masks. City of Ash 1's not horrible. You do get an increased chance of it dropping if you have the achievement for hard mode. City of Ash 1 hard mode isn't difficult. However, the drop rate is kind of atrocious. The window of opportunity for getting them is only like 4 days when it drops. So I kind of think most of the masks you should just go ahead and shell out the 15,000 archival fortunes. But if you enjoy farming City of Ash over and over and over again, more power to you. I think I'm probably just going to buy it. All right, next up we have Companion Equipment Light Armor. I don't typically recommend these. They are bound when you buy them this way. You're at the mercy of RNG as to what trait you get. So for 5,000 archival fortunes, I typically pass. Next up, our leads. We have Galomian Rivets to start, which is part of Shadow Queen's Cowl. I love this mythic for thievery. This particular lead drops from Somerset Geysers. Next up, we have Nightwing Besigue. This one is one of 5 pieces of Rakat's Void Mantle, another good mythic. And this one drops from the first boss in Maw of Lorcage, the Trial. So this is another decent one to get. All right, our first book is Materials for Novice Necromancers. This one drops in Infinite Archive, and the Eidetic Memory also drops from Infinite Archive. If you're not sure how that works, we have a link in the description, but this is a very handsome book. Next up, we have Pattern Vampiric Bed Canopy. There's like one listing on PCNA for 300,000 gold. On EU, there's 2 listings, one for 500,000 and one for 525,000. I definitely think this one's worth getting for 2,000 archival fortunes. This one is a little bit less so. This is Praxis Leowin Hearth Masonry. It runs about 6 to 8K on PCNA, about 3 to 5K on PCEU, and while it is a fantastic furnishing, it's pretty cheap. And so most patterns I typically recommend, but this one might be worth just buying off of a guild trader when you have a chance. Next, we have Praxis Orcish Cabinet Bedside. This one runs 16 to 25K on PCNA and about 10 to 25 on PCEU. This one is probably on the lower end of the ones that I would recommend snagging this way. I think the 2,000 archival fortunes to 20,000 gold isn't a bad bargain, but 2 for 6 isn't so much. So take that for what you will. Next, we have Sigic Glow Globe's Crystal Ball. This is one of 7 pieces of the Sigic Glow Globe emote, and these pieces normally drop in Sunhold in Somerset, the public dungeon. You need 7 pieces to complete the set to get you the Sigic Glow Globe emote. At 3,000 archival fortunes each, when they only run about 1,000 gold on traders, I think you should probably just buy them from traders or go farm them yourself in Sunhold. Our second book is Littlest Tomashell. While it's not the most attractive book, this is a cute little story. This one drops in Infinite Archive, and the eidetic memory is in Apocrypha. Our scripts, we have Bound Affix Script Cowardice, adds Cowardice, a debuff reducing weapon and spell damage. Bound Affix Script Lifesteal, adds Lifesteal, a debuff granting healing to attackers. Bound Focus Script Restore Resources, adds resource restoration. And Bound Signature Script Immobilizing Strike, adds a mobilization effect. Next, we have Fragment of the Baron. This is one of 6 pieces of the Puncture Lava Burst skill style, and this drops off the final boss in the Cauldron. This is a guaranteed drop if you can run the dungeon. It does drop in normal, but if you prefer to avoid dungeons, it's here for 5,000 archival fortunes. And finally, we have Malographic Ichor. Consume 50 Malographic Ichors to unlock the Ichor Most Malevolent Achievement and the Malographic Mount. I believe this is the first one out of the curated drops when you do your dailies in Infinite Archive. At 10,000 archival fortunes, when you need 50 of them, 500,000 archival fortunes to complete the mount if you did all of them this way. If you have the archival fortunes to do that, you've probably run it enough to just have it already. So unless you're just trying to speed up things and get the last couple fragments, but even then, I would just do some more dailies. You only need to run 1 arc to complete the daily. Obviously, that's up to you, but not my recommendation. Okay, let's run some Infinite Archive and see what gear is dropping this week. We just ran some Infinite Archive, and it looks like this week we have gear dropping from Glenumbra. That includes Bloodthorn's Touch, Hide of the Werewolf, and Weird Tree's Blessing, as well as from Northern Elsewhere, which includes Call of the Undertaker, Crafty Elfique, and Vesture of Darlek Bray. If you're trying to build a thief, Darlek Bray is another good set for that. And in prior weeks, we noted that there has been a change in the 3rd arc, and different gear is dropping from the base game zone. This week, it continues to be Glenumbra, so I don't know if that got fixed, or if today we're just lucky, but I will let you know when I know more. All right, that's going to do it for this week. We'll see you in the next one.